All right, we are back into the backpack series today. Today I've got the Swiss Army knife of Kifaru here, Kenneth Thrall, the do everything guy at Kifaru. What's up, Kenneth?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing really good, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's great to be here. Definitely, I'm glad we got this, figured out the dates wise. We were kind of all over hunting the last few weeks, but I'm excited to get on here and talk about Kafaru and just where we're at, and how people can see our stuff, and also the comfort and different bags they can use.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on, and especially someone like you. Like you were telling me before we started the podcast that you actually moved to Wyoming before even having a job at Kifaru and basically forced yourself into Kifaru. You're like, hey, I bought a house here. Now you have to hire me because you believe in the brand that much.
Yeah, yeah, and I can go a little history into that in a sense, like I did. Uh, my whole plan was to move out of Oregon and move to Wyoming just because of the hunting opportunities. That's what I've kind of built my life around. But it was kind of perfect timing in the sense of Kafara moving here and the cost of living in Riverton. So I sent them an email beforehand. I'm like, hey, like I'm willing to do this. Like, you guys are going to be hiring. Um, and then more or less, I just put it into motion in a sense. Like I bought a house before even having a job here. And I think once I did that, they kind of recognized my commitment. So uh, they kind of felt obligated, I guess, to give me a job. And so when I first moved here is before they ever moved up. So I drove down to Denver and met everybody, met Aaron, and Aaron asked me, he's like, what are you going to do when you're up there, before we get there? And he's, I'll just tell him we'll just get some odd end job and wait for them. And then he asked me like what I did before, and before I contracting, building houses, framing. And he's like, well, you can work on the building, like, with the contractor if you want. And I was like, might as well. So I went right into work. So I actually worked on the Cafaro building before even Cafaro got there. So all these, office I'm sitting in now, all the offices in here, I put in every single stud in here. Um, and, stick built the whole inside. We actually demolished it for like demoed it first and then stick built and everything in here. So kind of have a little bit of connection into here, and it worked out perfect because I was already up here and they'd ship up products. I was the only one up here, so they'd ship out a product. It'd be 20 pallets deep of product in a semi. I would go out by myself, unload each semi, and it ended up being 22 semis, and unload each product into a big warehouse. And so I'd have to go take it off a forklift and then jump in with the pallet jack, get the next one, push it forward, and then do the whole thing. But it was all worth it. I was very excited to have the opportunity, and my whole thing was just I just wanted to work for Carfar. I didn't care if I sweep floors or anything. Um, but now it's 2 years later, and I couldn't be imagining what I'm doing now. It's definitely my passion, and I love every day coming into work. It's easy to work here.
That's awesome. And you do a lot of traveling too. So like you're going in and you're doing distributor, like you're doing like the classes, like distributor training. You're also doing all the shows. So you of everyone up there, I mean, a lot of guys know everything. Like you are hands on with these packs. You know these packs in and out.
Yes, yep. And every weekend I have free, I am backpacking. So I've quickly over the years, like I was doing this before working Kofaru, but I was in the mountains as much as I can. I probably spend in the mountains, over 100 nights in a tent. So that doesn't count, how many days I'm out. But um, I love backpacking. I love Kofaru's products. So initially, like I was doing inventory, like inventory manager and everything, but I was became very well versed in our gear and how it fitment and everything. So once we started doing dealers and shows and stuff, they just started sending me to do that, and now I'm kind of primarily just doing shows plus dealer trainings. I'm passionate about our product, so anybody that has questions about it, I love relaying that information to them, just so you want to have that experience with the customer, how you have the experience, right? So when I'm packing out an elk several miles, a lot of miles and heavy loads, I want them to be able to do that same thing, because it could be with any pack. You could have it, your shoulder straps, tightened down too much, and then, not enough load lifter length, or you have a pinch in there because you already have your load lifters tightened before putting down your shoulder straps. And it's just a meticulous little thing, but that could throw off your whole pack and honestly your comfort. Get a lot of lower back pain and everything like that. So I like relaying that information to people so they're comfortable and can get out in the mountains. So it's definitely a passion, and I love going to these dealer trainings. Like you talked about dealers, like we're in Shields now. We're in 31 of the 32 stores. So any Shields, if anybody's listening, they want to go check out our products, they are there. And then also a bunch of other. I think we have total of 86 dealers right now. So if you guys have them in any stores, we got one in Oregon, G4 Archery. So it's it's nice having that out there, and also being able to relay that knowledge to those,
Yeah,
the dealers. So it's been a lot of fun, and definitely traveling has been a lot of fun as well. I've gotten to see a bunch of the US. So we just got back from Redding, California at a show, and then I went, right to Montana training Missoula and Billings, and then I had to go back to Great Falls this next week. Um, so I think the whole thing with that is, having that knowledge base there. I'm always learning. I never think that I know everything. I'm always learning, so I just want to relay what I know to people. I'm not going to BS anyone. So just having that knowledge base has been a lot of fun with dealers.
that's awesome. So you're backpacking all the time. Are you constantly switching your pack up using different packs?
Recently, so I have favorite packs. Like I love the Hoodlum, I love the Bedlam, but each hunt season comes around, we're developing new packs. So I'm kind of the test monkey. Um, so like this whole bear season, I've been using a pack that we haven't launched yet. Um, yep. So developing it still. Like I'll come back, we give feedback back to our designer Bender, and he'll redesign it. Or if I think it's awesome, and then Aaron thinks it's awesome, then we just keep going with it. So the last few seasons, even last year, I used our KU 4300 for most of the whole summer and fall. And I can't post any pictures about it, but I don't really care. I like the new developments of stuff. If I could run one pack, I'll tell you what pack I would run. Like I love the Bedlam, and I haven't used the Bedlam since October. I love the Hoodlum, like one of my all-around favorite bags. The Hoodlum, I haven't ran that bag in 2 years. So, um, yep. So we're always developing, and it's nice having that in-house, test monkey, because I love it. So they throw it on my back or do anything. Um, we've been developing other products that I've been using. Uh, it's just, and that's the fun part of it. I mean, I love that just because, I love new gear and I love our gear. So it just goes hand in hand. And just developing a product. So I haven't been using some packs recently, but I've used them all, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yep. So I've used them
Yeah.
all just to have the knowledge base on each one.
Yeah, it was kind of a trick question because I was gonna lead into, like, I understand that because, like, I
Mhm.
have favorite Tricer products that I can't
Yeah.
use because I'm constantly having to do new products, and people are like, "Oh, it's so bitchin'," and, like, yes, it is, but I'm, like, such a creature of habit that I'm like, I like simple and what works, right?
Hmm.
So I'm always out there having to use these new products, which in the end, they turn out, most of the time they turn out freaking awesome. But,
Yeah.
like, I never get to stick with, like, I get something where I consider almost perfect, and I don't get to use it anymore. I have to go get go to the next thing. So, like,
Yep.
I have, like, a whole new tripod this year that I'm running that no one's seen before, a whole new pan header I'm running no one's seen before, and I
Yep.
gotta run that, and I'm like, "Man, I just got, like, the BP done, and I just got the JC done. I can't run it now." I'm, like, going on to this new pan head and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I get it. It's just it's fun. It's part of the game. It's part of what you have to do,
Hmm.
and I think doing it in-house is so important, and putting those miles on is so important, and
Yep.
then also having a designer who is willing to make changes is important, right? Like you think you said Bender's his name?
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Eric Bender.
yeah,
He's
it's
he's unique because like not a lot of companies have someone like that. Because we can go in, like Aaron will be like, "Hey, like he'll just draw a thing up on a paper, and then Bender will have it sewn up the next day, like just completely ready to go. So he's definitely a catalyst to our company. Um, Very knowledgeable, very responsive. So when I get back, every time I get back from hunting trips, I go right to him, and we start talking about gear and what worked, what didn't, what we need to change, little micro stuff. He takes that in, not so much like, oh, this is it and has to be like that. So that's a good dynamic to have, and that's what Aaron's always had, that dynamic with Bender. um, and Bender's been here a long time, and all the pretty much products we have now that are on anything have been designed, by Bender. So it's great having that in house. Not a lot of companies have that to ability to do that. We're definitely very lucky, and also being American made. Everything's 100% American made. So we have sewers here. We have sewers in Riverton and in Denver, so they can produce bags quickly. So if we come up with a bag, we like it. We could send that model out to them, and then they'll sew them up, 100 of them, be ready to go. Uh, it's very unique, and not a lot of companies have that. It's kind of been that basis for Kifaru for so long, but it's enjoyable in a sense of product development and everything like that. That's the stuff I would dream about when I was a lot younger, just in the sense of having some say into a different pack or item. So it's a dream come true in that, but also you got to recognize what other people are going to like, because people are personal based. Like I love a personal pack that I like, but other people love like a 44 mag and not huge on the 44 mag. Like
Yeah.
that's me, but I see other people and how they like that pack, just modularity and everything. I'm a very simplistic person, so um, it's kind of having that in the back of your mind, like, oh, I'm not going to like this, but I know 80% of the consumers going to like this. So
Yes.
just trying to have that in your mind also.
Yeah. I do not stand in glass, but I
Hmm.
sell a standing tripod 3 to 1. So
Yep,
I make
exactly.
standing tripods. I went to lunch with Jay Scott. He's like, you just got to train people not to stand in glass. I'm like, Jay, if I told them that we're only making sitting tripods, I would lose like 75% of my business. Everyone wants to stand. It's like
Yeah.
I have to do what the consumer wants. You know what I mean? But I'm
Hmm.
going to tell people, hey, you should still sit with that tripod whenever you can, right? But you have the
Yes.
ability to stand up and gloss with it, right? Oh yeah, but it's just that's yeah, you gotta listen to consumers. At the end of the day, that's what customers always right.
Hmm.
So enough about you, dude. Let's hear about Kifaru. Let's hear about like the origins of Kifaru. Let's start with that. Like where did Kifaru start? Um
Hmm.
let's go from there.
Yeah, let's do that. So Patrick Smith is the original creator of Kifaru, but even before Kifaru, he started a company called Mountain Smith. So if you've seen, yeah, so Mountain Smith products, REI and all that stuff, they have all that. So he started that in the 80s and worked his way through, then ended up selling that company, to another uh, business, and then he just went hunting all the time. He went to Africa, and then had an idea. Why doesn't he start a hunting company and a backpacking company? So he in 1997 he launched Kifaru, and with Kifaru, Kifaru's name is Swahili for rhino. So everything's and from the beginning has been 100% American made, but our name is foreign, which ironically, but it's still iconic. The rhino. But he started the company and mainly started it with TP tents. So like he was the OG TP tent guy, Patrick Smith, TP tents, hot tents, and then the lumbar system. So his lumbar system is still used to this day by us, but also other companies, which you don't blame other companies for mimicking something that works. So he kind of pioneered their lumbar system of having that hip belt that's wrapped around, a little bit fatter around your hips and carrying that weight on your hips and not on your shoulders and back. Um, he, started in 1997, always in Denver. And then in 2012, Aaron Snyder started with Kifaru. And that's kind of when everything kind of took off in a sense of, you know, marketing and everything like that. Because Patrick, it was kind of very niche. Like not a lot of people knew about it. They kind of had to go through loops to go through the website, and then it was very kind of order personal. So you'd order it and then you get it like 12 weeks later, like a long time. So when Aaron got there, he was testing products. He was literally started Rock Slide, with a few other guys, and that was his thing. He tested different products, and Kifaru, ironically, was his last product he tested, and he lived near Denver. um, but it was the last backpack that he tested, and he fell in love with it, just like me and me trying Kifaru. He fell in love with it, and he fell in love with it. He wanted to get a job with with Kifaru, and he actually worked with Kifaru and Patrick without getting paid for a long time. Um, and then he started the whole social media train, building a social media with them, going to shows, and Kifaru just took off. But then it came to a point, I think it was 2019 or 2018, where Patrick, he wanted to sell. Patrick's up their age. He's already built two successful companies, so he wanted to sell, and obviously gave that right first choice to Aaron. So Aaron and Chad Shumway. Chad is our main CEO. Him and Aaron both bought the company together, and that's one thing is Aaron is definitely very personable. He is Kifaru, and just keeping everything American made, but also they wanted to get out of Denver. So that whole process of that was a big thing. You have to imagine moving a multi-million-dollar company from one city to another, or just to a town in Wyoming, can be a logistical nightmare. Uh, so that's kind of when I first started. I started right then, like right first at that transition, and that was very stressful. But the fact that we've successfully done that and still building is incredible. uh, Having Aaron as the boss and everything like that is awesome. Aaron's as best as they come, and but now we have Chad and Aaron that run the company. Anders is the head honcho GM. He basically runs Kifaru, uh, everything internal and all that stuff. So Aaron putting people in the right positions to where it's less stress on him has been big. Um, and where he kind of doesn't really have to do much. He is obviously there. He's there for us anytime we need him, but he wants to put us in the position to be able to keep it running. And it's crazy that this started in 1997 and how quickly it or how long it took to build, but how quickly it did. Like since 2016 to now, Kifaru is a main thing. Like if you're talking about backpacks and companies, you're talking about Kifaru is in there. Um, so that's something that is amazing to see. And also, you have to respect what Patrick did and Patrick's pioneering in all of the industry, but also what Aaron has done and, kind of passing that torch, Patrick passing it to Aaron. And, it's awesome to be internally into that, but also as a consumer beforehand and just having that respect. So, um, it's a unique company because of that transition and everything. But Kifaru has always been that workhorse, that American made back. You can throw any weight on there and you're going to be able to haul it. Uh, like I'll say about our backpacks now, we have the Duplex Lite, which is kind of our previous model, and then this year in February we launched the ARC Frame, which is the new carbon frame. We started testing that last year, and like I said, like we're in the mountains a lot. I put a lot of animals into that pack, a lot of weight into that pack, kind of making my body suffer just to test the product. But um, both of our frames, there's no load limit. So like people say like, oh, how many pounds can you carry?
I want to
And
talk
I'll
to you about
tell
this. I'm glad you bring this up.
yes, like there is no load limit. That frame will not break. Um, the load limit is how much you can carry. Like you will, and I know this for the fact. I have put in, like you can ask anybody here, the amount of stupid stuff I do, but um, you can put as much weight as in there as you can in there. As long as you can get up on your two legs, you can walk. Um, that frame won't break. The only frames that have ever broke from Kifaru has been people that have ran it over with their truck or have it stepped on by a horse. Um, but no arc frame has ever been broken. Besides Aaron putting his full weight onto it on a metal bar and then spinning it and then opposite way and broke it. But that's definitely not realistic. But like I said, like as much weight as you can carry, there's no load limit. That's one easiest thing to say. Like we go to shows, and if you guys see us at shows, or if you guys saw us in Western Hunt Expo, we had an 85 and a 90-pound bag, sandbag. So we threw those in there, like 90 pounds. Someone want to try it on, we'll throw it on you. Um, we have all the confidence in the world in our frame that it's going to feel a lot lighter. And when we don't tell them, and they're like, "Oh, how much weight's in here?" And you're like, "Oh, it's 90," and they're like, "Really?" So it's getting that weight, and you want to be able to fit them. So I'm fitting them correctly, keeping that weight on their hips. Um, but that's where you get that real eye-opening experience. Like, and that's one thing that with us being direct to consumer was the hardest thing to do because no one gets to feel it besides when we're
Yeah,
at shows. So now that we're in Shields, and then a bunch of other dealers, it's nice for people to go and feel our product.
yes, 100%.
Yep.
We're having the same experience at Tricer is like, I want to buy it, but I can't see it. Well, now they're able to go in and actually hold it, and they're like, "Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, this is so much better than my freaking photography tripod." Doesn't even make, yeah, you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yep.
You know,
Yep. And that's the biggest thing. Firsthand experience and like actually feeling the product, you're not going to have any knowledge on a product. You can read reviews, you can read, other people's stuff until you put that product into your hand. Like I never trust reviews no matter what, just because everyone's different. Uh, but if you can, you definitely go to a Shields or whatever dealers that are close to you. We have a map on our website actually
Mhm.
that shows all of our dealer locations. So if you guys want to go in there and check it out, just go put the pack on. And if some of those dealers or Shields they have weight, because I think I talked to the Shields reps and they said they'll throw in a 40-pound, like mulch sack in there for you if you want. Just put weight on, and then make sure to watch videos on how to correctly fit a pack. We have a bunch of videos on our website, but um, that's just one thing I believe in Kifaru. Like we have other products like day bags and all that stuff, but what we specialize in is backpack hunting,
Yeah.
backpack, like throwing weight onto your back, especially elk quarters. I mean, we have a bunch of guides in Alaska that are using them for moose. It's you get 150 pounds on your back, it's not going to be comfortable, but it can be a lot more comfortable in certain, if it's fitted a little bit better, and has
There's no good way to
no.
carry an elk out. It's gonna suck no matter what you do,
Mhm.
but doing it right and having the proper tools makes it a lot better.
Yep, yep,
A
and
lot
that's
better.
that's that's one thing I recognized when I first started with Kafaru. There's one thing, like if you have a pack and you're not really confident in that pack, and if it's going to fail or not. The one thing I have, and I'll have from the beginning with using the Kafaru, is I know for a fact I can kill an animal anywhere, and if I can physically get it out, I'll get it out because I know my pack's not going to
Yeah.
fail. Having that kind of fail safe, and then obviously, like I'm backpacking a lot, in pretty good shape. Um, I still have not hit a wall, just in a sense of killing an animal somewhere, how many miles deep, it doesn't matter. I know for a fact, like I'll get out, but I know I'll be able to carry the weight out. Um, that's a different confidence level, just like in your weapon. If you're shooting your weapon and you're very confident in your weapon, you're going to be way more successful. If you're confident in your system in a backpack that you can haul the weight and not fail or have a pack failure, then you're going to be way more confident when you're out in the mountains. It just,
Yeah.
want to have that gear, just like having a good tripod. If you're not confident in having a good tripod, and if it could fail or if it's going to be shaky as all get out, um, you want to have confidence in your glassing. Like you're not, for a fact you glass that whole hillside and you see everything.
Nothing's there.
Exactly right. You want to have that gear, that top end gear. And one thing people say, is like our pricing. One thing I want to mention about our pricing is just recognize that you're paying American sewers, American suppliers, and American employees. Like everything you're paying is going back to Americans people. Um, that's why cost is a little bit higher. And I say a little bit higher, it's only, 150, $200. Like, you recognize the quality. Definitely when you get the packs in your hand, you'll, first thing people say it shows is like, man, this thing's really built, and like very, very tough. That's Kafaru. Kafaru is Rhino tough. So, um, just having that knowledge base and like knowing that you're supporting Americans, is a very good peace of mind. That was one thing for me. I was like, I don't care about the price. Just, I want to try it out. I know I respect a lot of people that use them. Um, and, just getting it into your hands is the biggest thing, but getting it in your hands with weight is definitely going to be your biggest teller. And you can throw as much as you want on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple things to touch on from that. One
Hmm.
with the rhino.
Yep.
So, cool story. My wife just got back from Kenya. My wife and my son got back from Kenya like 2 days
Nice.
ago. My son was attacked by a rhino and he survived. So, it was a baby rhino. It was a baby rhino, but it charged
Yeah.
him and hit him in the legs and he survived.
Oh
So
my
he was at like
gosh.
a rhino orphanage or something, and this
Yeah.
little baby rhino like escaped from the pen and like charged him and hit him in the legs, like full on charged him. So I'm like, so he's like really going around telling me like, yeah, I got attacked by a rhino. I survived.
Hmm.
Uh,
That's
it's,
that's awesome.
now don't take this the wrong way. Um, when I started Tricer, my designer was like, my graphic designer, he's like, well, what do you want to call it? And I'm like, I don't know. We need a stupid name like Sitka, Kuyu, Kifaru. That doesn't go a long way. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Tricer. I was like, tripods, Triceratops, Tricer. And so our logo is a Triceratops skull because I didn't want to have a deer skull. And like everyone has a deer skull, everyone has an elk skull. Like I wanted to
or
have,
yeah,
yeah, you know what
or
I
a
mean?
ram.
Like a ram skull, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
everyone's got it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I want to have something different. And I'm like, well, what would I want to hunt? Like the most bad A like animal ever is Triceratops. And
Mhm.
number 2 would probably be a rhino behind that. Like rhino came from it. So we kind of have similar
Yeah.
logos in that sense. But yeah, the name came from like don't take it wrong. I'm like, I need a stupid name. And I was like,
Yeah.
Kuyu, it's
There's a
it,
lot of
Kifaru. Now I'm not saying the name's stupid, just like it's just a name that doesn't like this wasn't like hunting. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
so I can say that. I'm gonna say someone's name. You know what I mean? Like just not
Yeah.
something, you know what I mean? Just I wanted something different that was stood out. So that's why I
Mhm.
like Kifaru. I like Sika. I like Kuyu. I like those names because they're just like very unique. So Tricer is a unique name. So very similar to that. The other thing I want to talk about, enough about me and my kid getting charged by a rhino, is and I was saying this before he came on, and I really hope I get to meet Aaron someday. I'm sure I will. I think we're very similar in a lot of things. I get the calls all the time, like, "What's the load rating on this?" Like, I got a text today, like, "Hey, they want to know the load rating on this head," and I'm like, "Tell them it'll handle any rifle they have or any
Mhm.
optic they have. Like, it's all you need to know. Like, if I tell you, oh, it's 26.4 pounds, I really appreciate redneck engineering, and like
Mhm.
some of the stuff I see you guys doing is like I took a deer and hung it from my tripods this year. Why? Because I just want to see if I could do it. Like
Mhm.
I see Aaron up on a forklift dropping a backpack off. Like I I get more from that than you guys telling me it's got 153-pound tensile strength. You know what I mean? Like what
Mhm.
the hell? I don't. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Like get out of here with
Yeah.
this tensile strength and all this stuff. Like you said it right. You will fail before that backpack fails. That's all you
Mhm.
need to know.
Mhm.
You will fail before your Kifaru backpack fails. One frame is broken and Aaron had to step on it. Like that should
Mhm.
say enough to anybody listening to this podcast right now. Like this backpack will handle what you're going to do.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. And that's the thing is like, and we are very upfront like that. I mean, Aaron showed a video of him throwing it off a cliff,
Yeah.
and throwing off a cliff. I shared a bunch of pictures that I had packing out animals where I have meat bags falling all over the place, like loaded to the max. I actually went a little crazy and packed out a whole cow elk by myself.
One
It
load?
was only one load. I
Oh,
just
you're younger
give
than
me
me. How old are you? How old are
yeah
you?
26.
26.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'm 38 now.
it's funny.
That's not happening. I do it. It has to be. No way.
Aaron, yeah, I'll imagine you like it was like that one elk was a mile and a half. Like, but that's the thing, it was a mile and a half. I'm like, I'm just gonna test this frame because I was right in the ending stages of testing the carbon frame, and
Mhm.
I'm like, this is the best opportunity. It's dark, it's getting dark, and I'm in Grizz country. I don't even want to make another trip. So I somehow made it all fit under that frame, and it was good. I got on my feet. Once I got on my feet, I just shuffled along. But
That's
that's
like
one thing.
90% of the battle right there is getting on your feet. And
Yep.
no one was with you to stand you up?
Nope. So I actually
Oh,
rolled
dude.
around. I rolled around for a little bit.
I know
It
the
was
feeling.
it was
I know the
struggle.
feeling.
Yeah, I had to like drag the pack to get it on an uphill portion to be able because
Mhm.
I could not get up from flat ground to get on an
Yeah.
uphill portion to get enough leverage. But that's one thing, uh, in that process is showing that that you can do that. Uh, Aaron, like I wouldn't recommend that. Even Aaron is like, dude, when you're my age, you're gonna be pretty messed up, And I've kind of fully accepted that my knees might be shot by 45. Um, but hey, at least I got cool stories, just cool stories to add on
Drive
to it.
it like
But
you stole it has been my motto forever. And then now I'm
mhm.
like, I'm gonna step down off this box when I do box jumps. I'm not
Yep,
gonna like it's just your body just starts slowing down.
yep,
I'm 38, so I'm not quite 45, but
yeah.
we'll
And I
see.
recognized this
You'll
last year
see.
that I'm definitely not invincible. I tore my meniscus stalking a deer in Montana. Um, I killed the deer like full. I had to make a run, like I ran to go cut it off. Shot it with my bow, and I'm standing there. I called Aaron, talked to him for a second. I'm standing there like, man, my knee is not feeling great,
Yeah,
and ended up tearing my meniscus. I packed that whole buck out by myself, and then ended up packing out 2 elk after that solo with my torn meniscus. Um,
yeah. My kid's getting
Probably.
surgery on Friday, same thing. He tore it, packing an elk out in Utah this year, and
Mhm.
then heard it pop and everything, and then he did a deer hunt after that, he did an elk hunt, did a bunch of stuff. I mean, and, he's getting surgery, he's getting cleaned up on Friday.
Yep.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
Luckily, mine was vascular, so it healed back, but it still will click. Like
Yeah, so
still
they're doing the
occasionally
scar
have
tissue.
that.
So that's the same thing he has. So he just said he has like they're going in 3 spots just to cut the scar tissue out,
Hmm.
because it healed, but he's got the click. So he like if he does a squat, it's just like pain, pain. We ride dirt bikes, and he's just like, I'm in pain the whole time on my bike because a dirt bike. If you ever ride bikes at all, you're using your body as a suspension.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yep.
same thing.
Yeah, I'll get surgery at some point. I might wait till after this year. Um, and just get a surgery to clean it up. Aaron had to do that a few times. When you're when you're doing that much stuff, and definitely how much we're in the mountains and packing heavy loads, you're going to be susceptible to having an injury. Something that I've accept, but I'm definitely never going to stop being in the mountains. So as long as I can live, so it's but it's nice. We test our products, and just like you said, like having that confidence and telling people. Um, I'm fully confident that anybody can put as much load in there, and I think people recognize that when I talk to them. Because that is one question you'll get at shows, even by dealers, is like, what is the load rating and all this stuff, and it's just like it's very simple. There is no load rating.
How
Yeah.
much can you deadlift?
Yes. Yep.
How much can you
Exactly.
squat? I don't know. How much weight can you carry up a hill?
Yep. Yep. It's just like as much as you can. It's the easiest thing to market it because we've tested it. It's not, we're
Yeah.
not sitting there spewing out something that's going to be like, hey, you know, you could do this, maybe, no, I'm confident that you get on your 2 feet and whatever weight you have on there, you can do it. But if you fail, then it's not the pack's fault, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it's nice to have a good pack on, and
Hmm.
so I guess let's focus on the new frame, the new packs, right? So or is it the same packs with a new frame inside of them? Are you still running the same like hoodlum, badla like I'm not I could throw a rock and find a buddy who runs your stuff. I mean, everyone's running your
Hmm.
stuff.
Yep.
I haven't run your stuff. My father-in-law's running your stuff. So I'm kind of familiar
Yeah.
with some of the names. You have really bitchin' names, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
so let's focus on like your bread and butter backpack hunting backpacks and
Hmm.
talk about those a little bit.
Yep. So I'll say this too, because usually when someone comes out with a new frame, that means new bags, that aren't
Mhm.
going to be compatible. Just be safe here, and I'll tell you guys right off the bat is all of our older bags that are 2012 and up. So any duplex style bag will fit onto the ARC frame. So,
Really? That's
yep,
really
if
cool.
it's yep. So we wanted to make it compatible. We easily could have just made a new product where you had to buy a new bag and just charge people for no reason.
Mhm.
Um, but that's not Kifaru. We're very modular. So we built the same kind of template off, having the frames, but the same system to where you can attach those frames on. So it's very similar to that duplex light and the new arc frame that you can attach the bags on. Um,
So the same
two,
frame for all the packs.
yep, yep. So
You don't have like
all the
okay, okay.
yep, all the packs that are duplex packs will fit onto the new arc frame.
Duplex
So like
meaning it's a load shelf in between the frame and the pack.
yep. So there
Is that what
is
duplex means?
so the duplex is just what the like there was the tactical duplex and then the duplex light. So it's just a name that they just had for it. But the duplex bags were the bags that were created for those frames. Just having, because that's one thing is you buy a Kafaru frame and a bag, you'll never have to buy a frame again.
Yeah.
You have the frame, but you can buy more bags to attach to that frame. So it makes it modular, because people are like, oh, it's a $900 purchase. And it's like, yes, that's with accessories and stuff, or a $800 purchase, but you're buying the frame first. So $400 or 450 or $500 for the arc frame, then you don't have to buy that again. You buy a $350 bag, you throw that on there, then say like, hey, you buy a Striker XL, that's a day pack, but you get really into backpacking, so you want to get a hoodlum, a bigger bag. So you buy that hoodlum and you can attach it onto there and have a two bag system.
Mhm.
Um, it's not like you ever have to buy a frame again. So, having that kind of system, but the main bags, and I say like are kind of like we like call them like legacy bags, the ones that are always going to be producing. Um, we have a bunch of different ones, and we have expedition bags, day style packs. But I'll just hit the main ones that are selling, and also the main ones that I like. There's for the day packs is the Hellbender and the Striker XL. So the Striker XL is 1900 cubic inches, but has MOLLE webbing, so you can add belt pouches. And then the Hellbender is 2300 cubic inches. So that one is a system to where there's a load shelf, but you just have to unclip buckles to get into the load shelf. So it's an
Okay.
integrated load shelf into the bag. So has a load sling, and the Hellbender is my favorite day pack. Like I've actually packed out more animals in a Hellbender than I have any other bag we
And
have.
that goes on to your arc frame.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
That goes onto the arc frame, and it's
All
just
these
an
packs are going
integrated.
to arc frame we're talking about right now.
Yep. So we're
Okay.
talking about just the arc frame,
Okay.
and the bags, like all these bags attached to it. So the Hellbender is lined with X-Pack, which is a waterproof material, like in the load shelf. So if you get meat on there or get blood on there, open it up, you could just spray it off and be good to go, ready for the next trip. Um, but the integrated load shelf, it's just the buckles that attach to it. Very good day pack, everything like that. But the next one, and this is kind of like my end all, like be all pack. Like if you're just going to get one, would be the Bedlam. So the Bedlam is in between. So it's like 4,900 cubic inches fully
Okay.
extended with the snow collar. Obviously, you can add a lid and add, like 750 cubic inches, and another
This
belt
is my
pouch.
sweet spot too. This size here is my sweet spot for a pack.
Yep. Yep, and I think like that's why mainly everyone use it. Like even if I had one pack from Kifaru, this is the pack I would have. Would be the Bedlam. So it has a load shelf on it, but the load shelf is attached to the frame. So you attach the load shelf to the frame, like at the bottom end, then attach the bag. Once you need to access the load shelf, this is for the rest of the duplex bags. You take the bag off. So you take it, uncinch it. It'll come off the sleeve of the frame, and it separates, and then you just put meat in between the frame and the bag, and then just cinch it back together. You don't put that sleeve over. You just put it back, use the compression straps back to the frame,
Okay.
and it's ready to go. But the Bedlam, so it's 4,900 cubic inches fully extended, but if you want to use the snow collar folded over, it's 3,800.
Okay.
So, yep, you can have the snow collar up with a lid, or you can just run it with 3,800. If you're, I'll use the snow collar folded down when I'm summer scouting. I don't need a bunch of food, um, and just easy light system, but it compresses really well for day trips too. So that's just one thing. You have that sweet spot. For expedition bags like that, 5 or I mean, I can get probably 8 days out of the Bedlam.
Yeah, that's my
Just
experience too.
yeah, yeah,
Now that I'm carrying camera gear, I'm screwed, but I
yes,
feel like
camera gear.
a 4 to 5,000 cubic inch pack, like you could get a good 5 to 8 days out of it, and it'll
Mhm.
limit you to where you don't have to bring so much crap.
Yep, yep, and that's one thing I like to say to people is like, hey, they ask you like how many days it is. People are going to be different, so I like to say like if the Bedlam, we'll just say 3 to 5. You know, like I
Yeah.
typically don't say like, hey, it's an 8-day bag. I've I've done a lot of backpacking myself. I have a very dialed system, so I can get more out of that. Some people like to carry more stuff than they need, obviously starting off. So that 3 to 5 is what I typically tell people.
Mhm.
Um,
And food's a
so
killer. Food's a killer.
yep,
It takes
yep,
up space. Food takes up space,
food,
water takes up space.
yep, yep. That'll
Yeah.
take up mostly everything because your sleep system is going to be the same, regardless if it's a weekend trip
Yeah.
or if it's a 10-day trip. Um, and so I like to say 3 to 5, but then the hoodlum, that's like our expedition 7 to 10 is what we call it, but it's 6,300 cubic inch bag.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, 7 to 10, but I can definitely get 2 weeks out of that bag. Um, it has a more of a modular system. Like you can add belt pouches onto the back of it, plus have an add a belt pouch onto the snow collar lid. So you can run it lid over, 3 belt pouches on it, or run it with a lid on top. Um, that's kind of our, very good expedition bag. And then we also have, if you're going for a sheep hunt and you need a huge bag, the Fulcrum, which has been around for a long time, big center zip in there. A lot of people use it for like guides for moose and stuff. It's just a huge like 10K bag. You can just throw meat into there.
It's 10K?
Um, it's huge, yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's a big bag. And then um, the doll is another one that's, I think it's 7K. The doll is a very simplistic bag. It's just like the Nargali. The Nargali is 5,900 cubic inches, so it's smaller. That's actually a pretty good if you're really into simplicity. There's no
Mhm.
zippers, just a straight open pocket, but you can add belt pouches onto the back, um, and just like the doll. So we kind of hit that space of like having very modular packs and where you can add a bunch of stuff to it, or there's already enough zippers and different pockets to having that simplicity of like a Nargali or like our new KU 4300. which is literally just an open sack. Like there's no pockets in it whatsoever. It's just 4,300 cubic inches of, just nothing. So you have different markets which you want to hit. But if I were to run the system, and just one system would be the Bedlam. If I have a two system, I would run the Hellbender and the Hoodlum, if that makes sense. Like not
Yeah,
having that in between.
so that's like you'd run like a 2300 and like a 5900 or something like that, right? Is that what you're
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
yep.
I'm kind of
So if
maybe
you want,
this year I'm kind of going that more 6,000 range only because I've been carrying around this freaking BTX. I can't get enough of this BTX.
yep.
And I'm carrying around optics or like cameras now, which I hate cameras. But I'm carrying all
Mhm.
this crap, and I'm like, dude, I'm running out of freaking room in my pack. And I'm such a simple dude. I would do like 5-day hunts and 3,000 all the time, 3,500. Like I would just,
Mhm.
I don't bring extra clothes. I bring like maybe one extra pair of underwear, maybe, and an extra pair of socks. That's all I'm getting. Like I'll just go dirty. I don't care. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But now I'm like having to bring all this other stuff and batteries and all this stupid crap. So
yeah.
I'm going a little bit bigger. But I do like the ability to like roll them down and like run them smaller because like I typically try and
Mhm.
run like one pack for the season. Like I don't want to run like I don't really jump around too much and do like day pack. I just run like one like 5,000 and I'll roll them down and run them. That way I'm just used to it because I like to have the same like I'm a creature of habit, so I like to know
Mhm.
where everything is, right? And I really don't like to take it all out of my bag because I find if I'm switching bags and I'm like, I end up forgetting my lighter or my kill kit or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just like I want it to be here, you know.
Yes.
And I do
Yep.
like that, like you keep saying simple. Like Tricer's motto is fast, light, simple. I
Mhm.
like simple and I like modular. So like I like being able to like not get a pack that has a million zippers on it. I like to be able to add where I want them because I find
Mhm.
like the more pockets I have, the more crap I bring, and I don't
Yeah.
like to bring crap. I like to be like pretty bare bones. There's a few things now as I'm getting older that I bring. Like I bring a pillow, right? I
Mhm.
started bringing a camp chair the last couple of years because it's like lasts so much. So it's just kind of like
Yep.
I'm like I would never buy a camp chair until I did a few hunts with people who had them, and I'm like, oh, it only weighs a pound. I'm bringing a camp chair now.
yes. Yep.
So
Yeah, and I think comfortability is a big thing, and everything like that. But like you said, like simplicity, but having being modular, because there's some times like when I'm very simplistic when I'm scouting. Like you're not really bringing a whole bunch. Even I'll use some of our internal frames, like the 357, just for a weekend scouting trip. Just having that simplistic stuff. But like I never add a lid onto my bag until I'm hunting.
okay.
Just for the fact of packing out antlers, like it's easy to cinch it down onto the top, or heads and stuff like that. Or you need that extra space of other stuff. Like I'm going to be out longer, so I'll have more batteries, more like different stuff, and more food. But uh, you know, more or less when I'm scouting, I just run belt pouches. When I'm
Okay.
hunting, I run, have a belt pouch on front, but then a lid on top. It just different systems, and everybody's unique. So
Yeah,
that's one thing.
I love a lid. Like
Hmm.
like I love a lid also for the reason you said. Like I use my lid to strap down heads and strap
Hmm.
things down the outside. I'll use it to like maybe strap a tripod down, whatever. Like I use it as part of my strapping system as well. But I see the benefit of not running a lid because like you bring less crap. Like again,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
and plus it gets heavy. It's up on top too. Like my I keep a lot of stuff in there and like it gets a little heavy up
Hmm.
there too. So you don't want your weight up high. So
Yep. Yep. So it's just, I like keeping those, and especially when you don't have that lid, and I have like, say, on the hoodlum, I have three belt pouches onto there. It disperses that weight, wherever
when you say
across.
belt pouch, is it on your actual hip belt?
So that's one thing I guess to clarify. So we say belt pouches. There's three different sizes. So there's a small, medium, and large.
Mhm.
So the medium and the large is what I use the most, but I put those onto the pack. So we have
Okay,
molly
on the
webbing.
pack.
Yep,
Yeah.
the molly webbing. So they're just like a square.
I'm familiar with these now. I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And like typically, like if you're using a small, you would put the small onto your hip belt. I never use a small just because I don't put pockets onto my hip. Like the only thing I put on my hip is an Nalgene pocket. Just having that water bottle pocket on my hip. I don't run a bladder. Um, and then on the back, like on the hoodlum, like there's different slots. I'll put a large belt pouch on bottom, a medium in the middle, and then on
Mhm.
top I'll put another medium if I'm using it that way. Um, so it's just however different mix and match you want to do. You can do whatever you want. You could run a bare minimum and not even have any belt pouches on there, which is still great. Um, but the belt pouches kind of just add modularity and having pockets on the outside of your bag that are quick accessible kind of thing.
Okay. Now, what about hip belts and frames? How many sizes do you have? Is it one fits all, or do you have how does it work?
It's perfect. So the arc frame is just a 25 set frame length. So
Really?
25 inches. Yep. So I'm 5'7", and it fits me. My boss is 6'7", and it fits him. So we have one shoulder strap system, and there's slots into the back of the carbon. So you move the shoulder strap up or down for your height. So it makes it
Okay.
easier. It's modular for the customer. Um, Easier for them to mix them or switch around if they need to different fitting. Um, but like I said, we have a broad range of what it can fit. And if you're shorter, you put the shoulder straps down, and if you're taller, you put the shoulder straps up. So you just move it up and down. And then for belts, it's very simplistic. There's just a small, medium, and large. So the
Okay.
small is going to fit that 29 to 34-inch waist, and then medium is going to be that 35 to 38, and then 39 and to 43 is going to be that large.
Now, are
Um,
they sewn into the pack, or are these modular as well?
Nope, they're modular, so you can
So
take
you
everything
can
off
get
of the
fatter.
frame.
So you can get fatter and get another hip belt.
Yep, yep. So you
Okay.
could get, if you gain weight or lose weight, you can go on the website and purchase a new thing. We don't have the arc belts on as individual purchase yet, just because we still have so many allocated to the frames. But eventually we will have that. But like with our old duplex, this same kind of system, except with the old duplex, you hit a short and a long shoulder strap. So you had to pick between
Okay.
your torso length and everything like that. But we took that entirely away because it did create a lot of confusion. So it's just like we'll just have one set shoulder strap with the new arc, so no one has to worry about that. Literally, the only thing with the arc that you have to be diligently thinking about is the waist belt. You don't have to worry about the height of the frame or the shoulder straps. It's just whatever waist size you are.
Which is
Um,
easy because you know what size pants you wear.
Yep, yep. So like whatever pant size you got, then go from there. And like if you fall, like this would be just good because we get a lot of questions about this. But like if you are a 34 and say you're a slim 34, that makes sense. So you don't have a big gut. But if you're 34 and kind of got a bigger stomach, then you might want to put up to a medium. Because when you're riding that belt on your hips, you
Mhm.
want it to be up on your hips, the center of the seam, and that belt buckle is you want it to have right like on your belly button or just below your belly button, just wherever that hip line goes through. Like you don't want it down on your waist, because if it's down on your waist, you're gonna have a lot of pain in your lower back and like upper part of your butt. You want that weight on that hip bone right there, and so that buckle is going to be right at your belly button pretty much. So if you're 34 and you have a little bit of a gut, get a medium. If you're 34, like I have two coworkers that are 34s, but they're 6'2", so they wear small. So it's just kind of that's the only kind of in between that's kind of there. But just kind of want to put that out there just in case anybody had any questions. But if you're 33, get a small, um, or if you're 36, definitely get a medium and not a
So
large.
if you're a 34 dad bod, you might want to be looking at the medium. You got to figure it
Yep,
out.
yep, yep,
Gotcha.
yeah, yep.
Or you should just do some run a little bit and be small.
Just,
One or two.
just bring that belly down a little bit.
Bring the belly down a little bit and be a small. Do some sit
Yep,
ups.
maybe some less buckskins, and you'll be there.
Dude, that's awesome, dude. So we typically try and do a hunting story before we end these things. We try and keep it around an hour. I don't want it
Yeah,
to be too long. I didn't tell you this, but we do a hunting story every podcast. And it could be anything. It could be a funny story. It can be a hard story. It doesn't have to be like, 600 miles deep. It doesn't have to be that. It could just be like your favorite. It could be you and grandpa, first buck. I don't care. Just give us a hunting
yeah.
story. Give us a hunting story.
Uh, that's good because I got a lot of good hunting stories on big animals I've killed and everything like that. But I'll just give you a good wholesome story.
There you
Um,
go.
just something I think about, and it definitely this whole hunting experience kind of got me so into hunting and where I am now, and like work very hard. But I was 12 years old, hunting with my older brother. He's 9 years older, and we're turkey hunting. So we're turkey hunting. I'm just 12-year-old little kid. Not really. I work hard on the farm and everything like that, but we're we're hiking for turkeys, like literally mountain hunting. And we're walking in. This turkey gobbles at the top of the mountain, and initially just gobbled once, never gobbled again. And we hunted like the rest of that day, not hearing anything. And we're walking back, and my brother just like, hey, we're going to go up on top of this mountain, like where that turkey gobbled, and see if we can find him. And in my mind, I'm like, there's no way we're going to find him. He's not even gobbling right now, you know? And he's like, nope, we're going to do it. And mind you, my brother didn't have any skin in the game. He already killed a turkey early that year. Like he didn't care at all. And he's like, nope, we're going to do it. Like you're going to hike your butt up there. So we start hiking up this mountain and we're getting close and I'm a little ways behind him, like struggling, like not wanting to be there. And he looks behind me and he, kind of explicitly tells me to get up there. Like he's like,
Yeah.
get here now. And so I automatically just took off, like got right to him real quick, which showed you that I had more energy. Um, I got up to him and he's like, peek over this hill. He's like, that gobbler's sitting right there. He's bedded. Like, we walked right up on him, and the gobbler's bedded up on top of the hill. He's like, just shoot right in the head. So I peeked over, and sure enough, that gobbler's head sticking straight up. Like all I saw was his head. Boom, shot it. And I've killed several turkeys now. I'm not really into turkey hunt at all right now,
I'm
like
not
at
into it at
all.
all.
Yeah, like
I don't understand it. I know
yeah,
people love it and people get so offended, but I'm like, not my thing.
yeah. No, it's not my thing at all. But
More power
even
to
then,
you.
but when it was my youth, and everything, that was like turkey was life. Like I
Yeah.
love turkey hunting. It's just the experience and all that stuff. But I haven't turkey hunted in probably actually 5 years now. I've just been bear hunting like crazy. Bear hunting's my spring. But this whole experience, I shot this turkey. It ended up being, and still is to this day, I think I've killed 15 turkeys. This is still the biggest turkey I've ever killed. Like
Really. Is your first bird?
it was my second bird. So, yep, second bird, biggest biggest turkey I've ever killed. And I'm thinking back on that and like the amount of work ethic that he showed me right there. That if you put in that extra little mile, just going up there and doing that, you could be successful instead of just getting in the truck and going home. Um, that was 12 years old and I recognized that. I was like, you know, I was ready to go home. Like he very easily could have just let me do what I wanted to do and we're just going to take off. He literally didn't need to be there. And he's just like, nope, we're going up that mountain to see if that turkey's there. We don't even know if it's there. And that taught me a lot then. And I still apply that, just being like, hey, like I can go over to that next ridge, just, whatever. I have to drop, 500 feet and then climb another 1500 feet to get to the top there. It doesn't matter. Like there could be something there. And now in like all the success I've had, I kind of look back on that moment and be like, hey, that taught me a lot on, being resilient and trusting your kind of gut feeling. Cause my brother had a gut feeling that we could find him. Um, so that's just, little quick little story. Like I could have told a story of that big Wyoming buck that I killed a couple years ago, but that's just something I always look back on. It's like, just something so so little, but ended up being so big.
It's a pivotal.
Hmm.
It's probably the reason why you have that big buck behind you.
It
I
honestly
don't want
is.
to get too
Yep.
sappy and too like, you know, too
Yep.
like aura whatever, but it's probably
Hmm.
why you got that buck. You learn like one more ridge. Also, probably the reason why you've been screwed a bunch of times, hiked way too far and not got anything. But we don't talk
Yes.
about those moments too, because
Yeah.
we only talk about the times when it works out. We don't talk about the times when we get back to the truck 4 hours later because we're idiots. We made the
Or
wrong turn.
walking back in the dark and just being like, man, that was great.
I could have been at home sleeping, and I'm out here.
Yep. I'm out here just struggling. No.
Struggling, pushing through. Dude, what a fun podcast, man.
Yeah.
You guys, I mean, everyone knows where to find Kifaru, but I mean, where do
Mhm.
we find you guys? You guys got the Kifaru cast as well, right?
Yep.
Aaron's got a podcast. I listen to you guys. I listen to him pretty often when I'm going on hunts. I actually
Hmm.
watch a lot of Aaron stuff. I don't want to say I'm a fanboy, but I watch a lot of his stuff on archery, and he's just such a straight shooter. I really appreciate him. The
Hmm.
way he does things. Like I said, it's not like it's a no fluff thing. Like he runs certain tents, he runs certain like he doesn't do it because he's getting paid by. He's doing it because it works, and that's what I like about Aaron. So if you check out their podcast for sure, the Kifaru Cast. Where else can we find you guys?
Yep. So on Instagram, it's just Kifaru International, and then same thing on Facebook, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Just look up Kifaru International. You have it right there. But like you said, Kifaru Cast is very knowledgeable base. But even just um, Aaron drops stuff all the time of just unbiased, legit gear reviews. So just I'd say follow Kifaru on each platform, but then also follow Aaron because he'll have anything Kifaru based, but also backpack hunting and optics and all that stuff. He's he's very knowledgeable, very good resource.
Awesome. Let's
Yep.
do it again. Hopefully we hook up. We're up in Big Sky in a couple of weeks. We'll hang out.
Yep.
Hit me
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
We'll go hang out and do something, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Definitely.
Thanks,
Right on.
Kenneth.
Yep. Thank you, Drew.